Next in line is the remove method. So scope.remove, and it's going to be equals function, semicolon after all this. Then we go for variable, remove IDs equals, and now we use our helper factory, and the method filter field array by done. And now we're using our scope items, which is basically the array of items that we have currently in our application, and then filter by ID. So return ID if done equals 1. So this is what we're going to get after that filtration will be done. Only records that are done, basically, that are checked. And that's going to give us this remove IDs array, in which case we can pass this remove IDs array to our PHP code and simply remove all records that match these IDs from the database. So now, if remove IDs.length is more than 0, meaning if there are any records actually in this remove IDs, if any records were checked, then again HTTP service and set of standard and curly brackets. Then after this we go for success, function with data, and error, function with data, status, headers, and config. And then semicolon after this. Let me scroll up a little bit so we can see clearer. For the error, let's do this throw new error. I'm just going to copy this from the previous method and paste it inside of our error callback. Then for the HTTP, I'm going to again copy the whole block from the previous method as well, because it's going to be very similar. Obviously the URL rather than update is going to be a URL remove this time, and this data, rather than creating this variable because it's only one element, so it's going to be IDs equals, let's put it straight in here, remove IDs, join them using this bar, vertical bar. Basically later on we can split it inside of the PHP, but because we're passing this this way, let's join them all rather than passing the array to PHP. Okay, so this is what we are sending. The headers stay the same. Inside of the success, we check if, and then new method, which we haven't got yet, record removed successfully, and we pass data as argument here, and then after the closing bracket, it's going to be set of curly brackets, that's right, and then scope dot items equals scope items filter, and we go for function. We take each item inside of this items array, and we return only the item that done equals 0. So basically, by using this filter, we are looping through all of the items we have inside associated with this items variable here, and only items with done equals 0 are returned, and basically this items array is now replaced with this new array. It does technically the same thing as this filter field array by done, but just this way, straight away assigning it to our scope items. Let's create this record removed successfully. So if I copy the name of this function, and before our public remove method, they are public because obviously they are on a scope, and I'm creating the private now because it's defined within this specific controller only function, and we've got data as argument, and we return, and we check for two things. First, if data exists at all, and then if isn't data dot error, if error index is false, basically. So that's our remove method. Now that's completed. Let's create our last method inside of this shopping-list file called print. So on the scope again, so it's public scope print equals function, and it's simply window print, so that the print dialog obviously shows up in the browser when this method is called. And that's everything inside of our shopping-list.js. So we can now save and close the file and move to the next chapter when we're actually binding all these methods and properties to our view.